Hello YouTubers, time for another video, and I don't really have anything new to show when it comes to new purchases and so on, but I thought why not have a look at boxed sets. And when I talk about boxed sets, I mean boxed sets of vinyl albums, of vinyl records. I remember back in the 80s I saw them as something very, very exclusive. And I think the first boxed set I remember from my childhood was Elvis Presley's 100 Super Rocks. 7 LPs with Elvis songs, Elvis recordings from the earliest RCA day to the last RCA days. With a drawing of a Elvis in gold on front of the box, and also there was a big poster with the same motif inside the box, and 7 LPs. Yeah, the first box set that was mine, that I bought sometime in the late 80s, and it was this. Lars Ekborg, Bunta ihop dem. And what's that? Well, it's who is Lars Ekborg? Well, he was a very popular actor and comedian, more of a comedy actor than a comedian really, who was really active in the 1960s on Swedish comedy stage, on TV, and well, mostly on the stage, where he was very good at doing sketches, comedy sketches and comedy monologues. And these are his collected recordings from that era. He died quite young, I think 43 years old in 1969. And also containing here is an album that he made with songs of Tom Lehrer. And it was in this box I first heard of the man Tom Lehrer. So, very nice. Okay. And I think the second box I had was also based on comedy, because I was very much into comedy even back then. I like to laugh a lot. And this is a box called Lindemann Håller låda, and they contain 10 albums with improvised recordings by the Swedish comedy legend Hans Alfredson, together with, in these cases, the straight men Tage Danielsson and Lasse Månsson. There were many Lindemann albums issued back in time. I think 8 LPs before this boxed set was issued in the mid 80s, and contains the 8 original albums plus 2 albums of never before released material. And we have 100 improvised recordings here. Lindemann Håller låda. Very popular here in Sweden. Yeah, let's continue with popular here in Sweden. I've talked about the Swedish baron and singer and songwriter and pianist and musician and comedian and filmmaker, and well, he renewed Swedish entertainment several times, and he was active for a very long time. Povel Ramel. This is what he looked like. This is a box containing 3 records with his early 78 RPM recordings from the HMV label, mostly from 1942 to 1952. Glad Epok, a happy era. And the funny thing, I have another box here, so I should put it there, called En Glad Epok, a happy era. This is a boxed set, I think 9-10 records from Reader's Digest, with recordings of from his own label, Knäpp Upp, from his own comedy stage shows from Knäpp Upp, from well, the mid-50s up until the, I would say, late 60s. It has the same name as the previous box, even though they haven't, and they are both with Paul Rammel, but different eras, so 2 different eras, but both were happy. And then we have this box, Rammel's Delikatessen, the delicacies of Rommel. It was issued in the mid-80s, I think at the same time as a TV series called Affären Rommel. I think it's 9 or 10 records in this as well. And with when the original box was issued, there were also 4 candies included in the box. They are not there anymore. And if they were, they would probably be extremely bad for your teeth. You would probably break your teeth if you try to eat them. And probably not feel that good afterwards. But I think the most interesting box with Paul Rammel was the first one. Ugh. And it's this box. It contains 16 records with recordings. It's called Knäpp upp Levinson. And it contains recordings from all his comedy stage shows from 1952 to 1968, and it contains it's signed. The previous box was also signed and numbered. And we have a book, and also we have some film strips from a never finished film that they made. And they thought, what are we going to do with this? Oh, we put film strips in the boxes as a special collector's thing. This is a box I heard about early in life when I became a Paul Rammel fan, but this was issued way back in 1976, and as I said, it was a numbered box. It was a limited edition, so I think 3,000 boxes were made. So it wasn't that easy to get hold of, but since I moved to Stockholm, this was one of the first boxes I managed to buy here. So I mean, we have 16 records with pure comedy in this, so my goodness me, very happy I have this. Ugh, but it's heavy. Okay, over to another lovely box that we have here, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, the Lewis Carroll classic complete on 4 LP records, read and sung by Cyril Richard. It's on, including a facsimile volume of the rare 1865 first edition of the book, and that can be found if you want to follow the story by reading. This box is from late 50s, early 60s, in great condition and great fun to have. I'm very fond of Alice in Wonderland, as indeed many are, and it's a lovely way to present a nice old classic book. Okay, I have here the folk box on Electra, with, well, probably most artists that were active on Electra and who made records there. We got Judy Collins, Big Bill Brunsey, Woody Guthrie, Cisco Houston, Irish Rambler, Blind Levin Jefferson, Blind Willie Johnson, Leadbelly, Evan McCall, Ed McCurdy, the New Lost City Ramblers, Phil Ox, Tom Paxton, lots of great names. I bought this in Luleå at Café Musica, the record store and cafe that was owned by the late Christer Pettersson. I saw it many times and I thought, I should get that, but I didn't. But then finally, no, I'm getting it. So I got it and I have it. Very nice American folk music. Okay, over to a box that I really wanted as a child, because I saw leaflet about it in an old album, and I thought, oh, I want that, I want that. The problem was that when I saw that this leaflet, this box, had already sold out since long. But I really wanted it. I wished it for Christmas, but of course it wasn't available anymore. And I'm talking about the Swedish Dance Ban. I was totally crazy for them when I was a kid. Totally crazy about the dance band Ingmar Nordströms. And this is a box called Ingmar Nordströms Bästa Saxparty Gold from 1980. It's numbered and it contains 3 records, but even more interesting, a book with some interesting reading about the band. And I really wanted this as a kid, but it wasn't until maybe 10 years ago when I finally got hold of it, and then I already had most of the material in this box earlier. But anyway, it brings back this certain feeling as a child. I really want. No, you can't have it. Can't have it. Doesn't exist anymore. You can't get it in the stores. And probably my relatives thought it was too much hassle to try to find a second-hand copy of this. So, okay, but now I have it. Okay, over to a bit of a ratty box. The box is almost falling together, but it's a very nice box from Columbia, the Thesaurus of Classic Jazz. And yeah, we have Dorsey Brothers, Frankie Trumbauer, Miff Mould, Red Nichols, Charleston Chasers, Redheads, Alabama Red Peppers. Loads of wonderful jazz recordings from the 20s and the 30s. And also I have to say I really love this cover with these 8 old 78 RPM labels. Perfect, Harmony, OK, Pathé, Domino, Actual, Perfect, Velvet Tone. So lovely. The box is lovely, even if it's, as I said, almost falling apart. Okay, the final box is by a Swedish legend, another Swedish legend, and this legend is still active. And this year he turns 90 years old, and he's been active as a performer, as a singer, as a songwriter for, well, I think he has been, I think it's 64, 65 years. Yeah, and I'm talking about Ove Thörnqvist. This is a box, En box Ove, that was issued in, I think it was in the late 80s, maybe around 1990, on vinyl and on CD, that collects, I think, most of his recordings, if not all his recordings, up to that date, from the mid 1950s up until the mid 1980s. And as I said, he's still performing, he's still active, and even performed in the Swedish Eurovision Song Contest. I think it was last year, as the oldest performer ever, Ove Thörnqvist. There's something very special with this guy and this artist that's not very common. He actually owns the rights to all his recordings, even those he did back in the 1950s and 60s for the big record companies Metronome and Philips. He bought the rights to his own recordings. So he's the one who's sitting on them and who's ready to reissue them now and then. And there has been quite a lot of reissues during the years on his own label Pandorek, and this is quite big, heavy box, and of course great to listen to him. I wouldn't listen through a whole box like this, but maybe listen to one record at a time now and then, because like many artists you can actually get a bit fed up with them if you have too much in a short while. But I have the greatest respect for his wordplay and his musicianship. Many even consider him one of the first artists in Sweden who sang some sort of rock and roll. I would go even further. I think he was probably one of the first artists in Europe that did some sort of rock and roll, because talk about the mid-50s here, even before the first Elvis Presley album had been recorded. Okay, never mind about that. Might return later with another video about boxed sets, but then we're going to look at newer boxed sets. But until then, bye for now. Thank you for watching and have a great day, and keep playing those vinyl records.